Hello dear viewers, welcome to Natural Television News from Ankara in Turkey. I'll bring to you our news headlines in a while. In Beijing on Tuesday, the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan met with his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping at Great Hall of the People after welcoming ceremony in Beijing. A total of 84 irregular migrants of Afghan origin who were preparing to cross into Greece illegally were held in the Ayvacık district of Turkey's northwestern province of Çanakkale yesterday. After 9 years of hard archaeological work, visitors to southern Turkey will soon be able to see a huge, intact mosaic of more than 1,300 years old with their own eyes. The mosaic will be exhibited in its original place and be open to visitors very soon. Nalan Kopioğlu Yasti, director of the Hatay Archaeology Museum, told reporters. The leader of Turkey's nationalist movement party, Devlet Bahçeli, says that his party would back legal and administrative reforms to strengthen the new presidential system during his party's group meeting at the Grand National Assembly of Turkey in Ankara. Mohammed Abdullah, one of the prisoners suffering different types of brutal torture that the human mind cannot imagine at the Syrian regime Dangons in Idlib, said Abdullah also said he was arrested for participating in pro-democracy protests in the early days of the Syrian uprising in 2011. European Union leaders on Tuesday nominated Ursula von der Leyen as the next president of the European Commission, head of the European Council said. In a tweet post, Donald Tusk said the European Council has proposed the name of Leyen, who would be the first female Commissioner president if approved by the European Parliament. A terrorist sought by the Tunisian security forces committed suicide following a standoff in the capital Tunis this morning. The ministry said in a statement that Ayman al-Samir, wanted for his involvement in terrorism and organized crime, was cornered in an operation in Intilaka district. Al-Samiri had been sought by security forces for his role in suicide attacks last Thursday in Tunis, which left one police officer dead and 8 injured. The Daesh terrorist group claimed responsibility for the attack. The UN Special Rapporteur for Extrajudicial Killings on Tuesday called for a moratorium on selling surveillance technology to Saudi Arabia over the murder of a journalist, Jamal Khashoggi. The call from UN investigator Agnes Karamard comes after last month's release of her report on Khashoggi's death. Khashoggi was killed and dismembered by a group of Saudi operatives shortly after he entered the country's consulate in Istanbul on October 2nd last year. Riyadh offered various conflicting narratives to explain his disappearance before acknowledging he was murdered in the diplomatic building while seeking to shift blame for his death on a botched random redemption operation being carried out by rogue agents. Khashoggi's body has not been recovered and the kingdom has remained silent on its whereabouts. People staged a demonstration for a release of Carola Rakete, the German captain of the Sea-Watch 3 migrant rescue ship, yesterday in Vienna. Carola Rakete was arrested on Saturday when she docked after spending 2 weeks in international waters with dozens of rescued African migrants on board. People mourned over the dead body of Palestinian youth Mohammed Samir, 20, who was shot with ammunition in the heart and the chest by Israeli forces on Thursday on the protests in the Al-Sawiya neighborhood during his funeral ceremony in East Jerusalem on Monday. An attack has killed up to 40 migrants at a detention center of the outskirts of the Libyan capital, Tripoli. Government officials say some 80 people were injured at the center, which the UN-backed government says was hit by an airstrike. Anti-government forces led by warlord General Khalifa Haftar have accused government forces of bombarding it. Most of the dead are believed to be Africans attempting to reach Europe on the clandestine sea crossings from Libya. Police clashed with Ethiopian-Israeli protesters as they tried to clear demonstrations in several parts of the country that followed the burial of a young Ethiopian Israeli who was shot dead on Sunday by the off-duty policeman. Demonstrators were complaining of the marginalization and victimization. A relative of Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari was rescued from kidnappers after a gun battle in the northern city of Kano, the police said. Officials raided a hideout where Musa Omari had been held since his abduction 2 months ago. Kano police spokesman Haruna Abdullahi saying that Mr. Umar was rescued unhurt. Arrests were made and arms and ammunition found. A police officer quoted by saying 11 members of the kidnap gang had been arrested and one was killed during the gunfire. Eritrea and Sudan have agreed to reopen border crossings following talks in Asmara between Eritrean President Isai Afewerki and the deputy head of Sudan's Transitional Military Council, Lieutenant General Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo, better known as Hemeti. Sudan has closed the border since 2018, citing concerns over illegal crossings and human trafficking. On Tuesday, Eritrean Information Minister Yemane Meskel tweeted that the two sides had agreed to set up a joint committee to chart the modalities and monitor the implementations of the agreement. The UN World Food Programme says it will more than double its aid to the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo, where more than 300,000 people have been displaced by recent fighting. The World Food Programme said many of those displaced were malnourished and have moved numerous times, seeking safety in towns or in the bush. It said that DR Congo was experiencing the second worst food crisis in the world after Yemen. Local officials said at least 160 civilians have died in Ituri province in the past 3 weeks, where there has been an increase in fighting between the Hema and Lendu ethnic groups. The president of the Algerian parliament has submitted his resignation amid continuing political upheaval fueled by mass protests. Mouadi Bouchareb is the latest high-profile political figure to stand down after demands for his removal by anti-government demonstrators. The pressure from the streets in Algeria has continued since protesters forced the veteran President Abdelaziz Bouteflika to stand down 3 months ago. South Africa's third largest political party, the Economic Freedom Fighters, is to withdraw its support from opposition-run coalition governments in hung municipalities, potentially causing their collapse. Their leader, Julius Malema, said his party would no longer vote with the official opposition Democratic Alliance in all municipalities where its support was required. Breaking news from Nacho Television from Ankara in Turkey. I am Sauda Muganga. Thanks for watching.